Hey, real quick, just a reminder to subscribe to the channel. That'd be great. Also, we're doing a live show in Atlanta, December 2nd, the Friday night before the SEC championship game, solidverballive.com. Link down there for tickets.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildenbrandt, that fine gentleman over there, Dan Rubenstein. Thank you all for tuning in this episode. All of our episodes driven by our good friends over at Geico. I'm just getting as much out of the way right now as I can, Dan, because it is Rivalry Week and we have a lot to discuss, sir. How are you? How are you today?
I'm good, but it's not just Rivalry Week, Ty. I am especially good because it is Extra Nuggets Week, Ty.
What?
All I'm going to tell you is everything I know. And everything I know is Extra Nuggets is a brand new podcast. Not a sports show. It's myself, it's Adam Amin, and we deep dive, medium dive, shallow dive, 2 Jeopardy categories, the 5 clues and responses to each of them. So 10 total extra nuggets. We just learned a little bit more about the correct responses to 2 separate Jeopardy categories. It's a quick show, about 30 minutes each, and you can find out more information. Listen, subscribe. extranuggets.show has all the pertinent links, and to celebrate, solidgiveaway.com. We've got a PS5 bundle on there. We're very excited about the show. We're very excited to give away that PS5 bundle at solidgiveaway.com. I love the budding Extra Nuggets multiverse. That's all I'm going to say.
Dan, I'm very excited about this. I am very excited about this, not just for us because it flies our banner, but also because I know you and Adam have been working on this for a good long time.
Yes.
And it's been in the lab for a good long time. We've been trying to get this thing out of the oven as best we could. It took us a while, but we finally made it. For those who are listening on a Tuesday
or beyond,
you can go on out to extranuggets.show. But it is available starting today, Tuesday.
It's
November
really fun.
22nd. And let us know. Let us know your thoughts. But again, extranuggets.show. Go and check it out and sign up for the solid giveaway because we're going to give out that PS5.
That PS5, Ty.
We're going to give out that PS5. Reballers.com, by the way, is where you can go if you want to watch this show live. We've got a couple people tuning in. We are doing this show early this week. So, week 12 was in the books on Sunday, officially, when we did the show on Sunday morning. We are recording this on Monday morning. We've had virtually no time to do our homework.
Yeah.
There is a lot of research that goes into this. I know it doesn't always sound that way based on our picks. But there's a lot of research that normally goes into this that we did not do. We are just sort of going to react.
Yeah.
We're going to go based on our gunneral instincts, what we've come to know about many of these teams over the course of the last 12 weeks or so. We're going to make picks in a variety of games throughout the course of Rivalry Weekend because it is not just one day. We've got games on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. We, of course, will reconvene later in the week on Sunday, as we often do, always do, to give you the full run of everything that transpired in Week 13.
Yes.
But today's show is going to be your early preview. There will be a Spotify show Tuesday evening. We've got a special guest.
Boom.
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, if you're interested in joining us live. But a bit of a different schedule this week because of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Cannot wait. And we are going to be serving digital audio honey roasted peanuts and ginger ale over here at the Underthink Express. Are we not?
Do we have a nickname for this here week?
No, it's too important to have a nickname. We do not need to categorize the most important weekend of college football because it is what the sport was meant for. It's the chill in the air and Thanksgiving and family and arguments at the table, arguments on the couch during games. It's Rivalry Week. How about that?
It is throw out the records.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just a Saturday. Again, it's an event. It's a rivalry event here in Week 13. This from our friend Brett McMurphy over at Action Network. He says there are 9 5-win teams who have let me do this again.
You're fine.
He says there are 9 5-win teams playing teams who have clinched a bowl. All 9 teams needing a win are underdogs. Ooh. The implication here is that we could have some funny business, right? We could have some teams with a lot to play for against teams with a little to play for. And sometimes that can produce some odd results. So we're going to get into that as we go through the course of the next hour or so, talking through all of these games. I have a couple on my radar that I think are of interest. The way that Dan and I structured it today is we grouped it according to day, and then according to window, and then according to, I think, significance. So several different layers of analysis here that we sort of put together over the span of about 2 hours.
Yes.
So if you are ready to dive in, let's do it.
I'm ready.
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
No windows this week. I guess your window is just hang out with your family on Thursday.
Yeah. And watch the Egg Bowl.
And watch the Egg Bowl.
Yeah.
7 p.m. ESPN. It is Mississippi State. It is Ole Miss. Ole Miss favored by 3. Ole Miss won this game by 10 last year. They lead the overall series by, I don't know what this is, 18 games, something like 64, 46, and 6 all-time Ole Miss leads. Ole Miss led early in the fourth quarter of last year's Egg Bowl, and then Mississippi State got a bunch of garbage time stats and made it a little bit closer, but Ole Miss still got the dub. I'm on Ole Miss here, man. I think they can run on Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State is prone to big plays. I think the big plays and mistakes are the exact wrong approach if you want to try and beat Ole Miss in the first place. I think eventually that gets in the way for the Bulldogs here. So I'm on Ole Miss at home.
As am I. See ball, run ball. I think the mistakes will come down. There will be emotions running high, so maybe we get a couple of those personal fouls and unsportsmanlike conducts. Yeah. But otherwise, I think Ole Miss, the way you beat Ole Miss is, I think, running the ball, and Mississippi State decides not to all the time. And so I think it's a nice year. I'm not in love with the passing game for Ole Miss this year, but I don't think they need it. I think they're going to themselves underthink it and run all over State. So, yeah, I'm going Ole Miss here to win by 7 to 10 points.
Let's move on to Friday. We're doing Buzzsaw. Buzzsaw in this thing, man.
Buzz.
We're ready through one day. Let's get to Friday. I'm just going to go through all of these.
Please.
12 p.m. ABC, Tulane at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, favored by 2.5 points, Dan. What's your lean?
I'm leaning Tulane. I think the offense is rounding into form. Cincinnati is beat up at quarterback. We'll see what the situation is with Ben Bryant. I don't have it in front of me, and I haven't had an update, but I think I'm going to go Tulane here. I think they are the more dependable team, despite their loss a couple weeks ago. Give me the green wave.
Yeah, I think they might be with Evan Prater at quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Ben Bryant might be out. He hurt his foot last week. But I think I'm still on the Bearcats, man.
Okay.
I like their defense more than anything in this matchup, even though their offense. Have you seen the offensive numbers for Cincinnati this year?
A little bit, yeah.
They are aggressively average.
Yeah.
But the defense is solid. And so that gives me, especially playing at home, especially less than a field goal here with the point spread. Not that you should read too deeply into any of my picks. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Cincinnati minus 2.5 for me.
All right.
Also at high noon, Baylor at Texas. Texas favored by 8, Dan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of either of these teams at this point. All I know is this is like the third straight game for Texas now, being favored by more than I'd expect. My gut was Baylor, and I think because of that, I should go Texas. Because my gut has not been right the last 4 weeks of the season. And there is also, I think, some element of what does Baylor have left in the tank, because that TCU game last weekend had to just sap the life out of them. It sapped the life out of us. We didn't even stick for Baylor. We just do this dumb show. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine how they feel. Now they're going on the road. Texas probably feels like it's got something to play for. That line has gone up, by the way. It's still very early in the week, but I think it broke at 7.5. At time of recording now, it's crept up to 8.
Weird to say one of the more dependable things on the field is going to be the Texas defense. That's sort of odd to say, as they've quietly improved over the course of the season. But I think that combination of running the ball and defense, if they were able to win like they won last week, granted it was Kansas and the Kansas defense, but that's what a good team should have done to that defense. Yeah. Stomp them on the ground, and that's precisely what Texas did. I don't like either one of these quarterbacks all that much, but at home, and I don't think it's a letdown in the way that, sometimes I don't think, Baylor's overlooking Texas, but I have Texas here winning by 10 to 14 points because I do not have faith in Baylor's explosive potential on offense, whereas with Texas, I think they can find points in interesting ways. So I have Texas here 34-20.
I've got Texas as well. I think we agree there. 2 p.m. FS1 Territorial Cup. My favorite trophy. This is my favorite trophy. You know why?
Because it went missing for 144 years?
They lost it for 100 years, and they found it in a church basement somewhere in Tempe, Arizona.
Perfect.
It's a true story. You can look it up. ASU at Arizona this year. Arizona favored by 4.5. They lead the overall series 49-45-1. So it's close.
Mm-hmm.
It's close. I think I go Arizona here. I think I go Arizona because the offense is actually pretty good. It feels like this is a team trending in a generally good direction. They're not going to go to a bowl game, but I'd much rather be Arizona than ASU right now, given their state of affairs with that program. I just want to go Cats, so I'm going to go Cats.
I'm going Cats as well. What I would recommend is if you're going to this game, seek out delicious Sonoran Mexican food at a truck or cart or something like that in Tucson, because it's what they do especially well, obviously in the Sonoran Desert. As for the game itself, ASU is ready to move forward with whatever their new direction is. I still don't love the Arizona defense, but I don't love the ASU offense either. And so even coming off of a loss to, I think Arizona just fell to Wazoo, if memory serves. Wazoo might have the best defense in the Pac-12. Arizona State most definitely does not. I have Arizona winning this game by maybe even like 17-20.
Yeah, I got him. I like him here a great deal.
Yep.
Let's go to the Carolina State game. It's at 3:30 ABC. It is North Carolina favored by 6.5 American points at home against NC State. This is a wild game last year. I don't know if you remember how this one ended, but NC State won 34-30 after the North Carolina defense gave up 2 touchdowns in the span of 26 seconds.
Yep.
In like the final minute and a half. It was a wild finish. NC State won that one. UNC is an extreme half team. It sort of rhymes.
Yeah.
Extreme half team. They are 9th in the SP plus on offense and 100th on defense. That's not quite as unbalanced as Iowa, but it's pretty damn close. And Iowa gets a lot of crap for it.
Yeah.
Iowa gets a lot of crap for it because they don't score and they play boring football, but North Carolina is not much better. It's just sort of the other way around. The defense for Carolina, I think, has improved somewhat over the back half of the season.
It has.
But I am thoroughly convinced, because their defense still sucks, that this is going to be a close game. Carolina's been very good at playing a lot of close games this year. 7 of their 11 games have been within 1 score. So that combined with the fact that this is also an NC State defense that's been pretty solid, generally speaking. It's the best defense that Carolina's played all season long. I think it's close. I think this is a good game. If it stays at 6.5, I probably go Carolina by 7 because I don't have much faith in the NC State offense. But I could see this one being a really, really fun game and not being the kind of game I want to go anywhere near with an actual capital A, capital B actual bet.
Yeah, I think that's right. What if NC State isn't good right now when they don't have an offense? What if it's difficult to hang around? Like, what did they lose to Louisville? They lost by 15 to Louisville?
Yeah.
To not Malik Cunningham Louisville, if memory serves, to Brent Doman Louisville?
That's correct.
I like North Carolina here. Now, North Carolina plays up to and down to everybody it plays. It's a lot of 3-point, 4.5-point games. That usually comes out with a win, but betting against NC State's offense this back half of the season has probably been really profitable. For not you, because you've been doing terribly wagering American dollars.
It's so bad.
NC State 3-8 against the spread this year. North Carolina 5-5. So, you know, at least we have data at this point. I'm going to go UNC to win by 10 points here.
All right, a couple other games here. Let me go through these quick. Let me list these off, and
Please.
you can tell me if you've got a lean on. Arkansas minus 4.5 at Mizzou. It's the Battle Line rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Heroes Trophy game. Iowa favored by 10.5 at home against Nebraska. UCLA minus 9 on the road at Cal. And also to close out Friday evening, 7:30 ABC, it is the Sunshine Showdown between Florida and Florida State. Florida State favored by 10
Yeah.
Feels like a lot to me. Any of those games jump off the page to you?
Any and all. I like Iowa, but man, that number it's a large number for Iowa, but the offense has quietly been ascending to below average.
Can I stop you right there?
Please do.
Lock of the week.
So, I think I'm going to lock up Iowa.
Okay.
And I'm not comfortable with that point spread, but I'm just not comfortable betting right now. It's been a really rough go, and I've got a bit planned later that I'm going to get into this.
It's been
a little bit more, I promise you. But Nebraska's averaged fewer than 10 points per game over the last 4 weeks of the season against Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Albeit decent defenses. Those aren't bad defenses by any stretch.
Yeah.
By the numbers, this one is better. So if that's the body of work that we have to go on from Nebraska, they're probably not scoring more than 10 points. And given the way that Iowa's offense has kind of progressed, could easily see them winning this game like 24-10, somewhere in that range. So I'm locking up Iowa. I'll go with 24-10. If it comes to fruition, regardless of whether or not they cover, if Iowa wins, despite all of the hand-wringing and all of the nasty stuff everybody said about Iowa,
right?
Still not fun to watch, but they'd be an 8-4 team
and win the Big Ten West.
And win the Big Ten West.
If I were to give you, the line isn't as interesting to me as if I were to give you an over/under of 13.5 defensive points from Iowa in this one against Nebraska.
Defensive points?
Defensive points. So, pick six, scoop and score, muffed punt, something like. What is your lean there?
I would go under. 13.5's a lot.
7.5 over under.
Under.
Oh, man. Okay. That means you're saying you're confident that there will not be a pick six.
I could see him getting a pick six. But
6.5. 6.5.
Well, still technically because they don't kick the extra point, I'd still hit the under. But I take your point. There will be a defensive touchdown for Iowa in this game. One defensive touchdown.
Okay. I think there's going to be two. So I'm going to take Iowa comfortably in this one. Nebraska ready to move forward with whoever it is their new coach is or isn't.
Can we do this for Mizzou?
Please.
The Yakos, home dog of the week.
As I said at the top, Mizzou needs this one to get bowl eligible. Mm-hmm. They play a tough brand of defense. If anyone out there is going to surrender points to a bad Mizzou offense, it's probably this Arkansas defense. They will let you score. The game is in Missouri. It's a rivalry. I'm going Mizzou, 4.5.
So I mean,
Let's go outright.
It's a decent defense at home as a dog in a. I don't know how aggressive a rivalry it is, but maybe I'm underselling it here. I don't hate the pick, but I think I'm going to take Arkansas as well. Or not as well, but I think I'm going to take Arkansas in this spot just because I think there's momentum with KJ Jefferson there and Rocket Sanders there. And I worry about Mizzou keeping up sometimes with offenses. Yeah. That's all.
4:30 on Fox. I wanted to ask you about this one. This is the UCLA Cal game that I referenced. Cal +9. How do you feel about Cal +9?
UCLA lock of the week. That's how I feel.
Lock of the week.
Now,
because UCLA is way better, right? UCLA is way better. They should demolish them. However, a week after that USC game,
that's the thing.
Fully eliminated from the Pac-12. Really nothing to play for outside of pride. I think they'll win. But if you look at what Cal has done this year, they've been weirdly good against the better teams in their schedule. So I'm inclined to go Cal plus the number, even though I definitely did a double take when I looked at this line. I was like, UCLA feels like they should be a lot better in this particular scenario.
UCLA has comfortably beaten teams. That's the thing. The lesser teams that they've played, by and large, and you look at their resume, whether it's Washington, whether it's Utah, they get up every week. They lost last week, but this is not a team that has eked by in their wins, right?
No.
I'm looking at their schedule correctly, and I can go through it even more, but they've comfortably beaten lesser teams. And that, to me, is what impresses me. You know, listen, they also lost to Arizona. I understand that point as well. But 50 points, they beat ASU. 38-13 against Stanford, scoring 40 both times against Washington and Utah, 45-17 against Colorado. I just think Cal is, we talk about a team that doesn't have a lot to play for. It's the California Golden Bears. It's at home. It's the ability to beat a team that, there's the weird political thing with UCLA leaving and the regions and stuff, but I don't think players care about that. So I have UCLA winning this one 38-17.
And the Florida State game is interesting to me. 10 points is a lot. I like Florida State to win. I think they are the more finished product at this point, but it's also been a good 6 weeks since FSU played a top 65 team in FBS.
Right.
And so Florida is certainly that, albeit inconsistent, but they're not a bad side by any stretch. This is a rivalry. I'm taking points. I don't know. I like Florida State to win, but I'm taking Florida plus the points.
This game's in Tallahassee, is it not?
Correct.
Yeah, I think Florida State wins this game cleanly. Right now, and this can change. Florida is Vandy-ish, right? Is that an accurate way to describe the Gators? Right now, they're Vandy-ish. They're hoping to get to Vandy's level soon.
No. That's brutal. That is brutal.
Maybe they can change the narrative next year, Ty, but at the moment, that's where we are. And I like Vandy. I think Florida State, it's an especially nice matchup because Florida hasn't been good against the run, and Trey Benson is going to be wearing a Florida State uniform in this one. And so I think that's going to open things up for Jordan Travis. The defense has gotten better. I think Florida State is just in a better place. And after losing the way that they did last week, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult to say, well, we've got Florida State now. I like the Noles here.
Yeah, there's also an element of revenge in any of these rivalry games where you look at what happened last year, Florida State. We were convinced last year that Florida, after getting rid of Dan Mullen, was going to be the 1-2-3 Cancun team of the week in rivalry week.
Yes.
And that didn't come to fruition. They ended up winning this game. Remember, it came down to this final game for Florida State to try and get bowl eligible after a rocket start, horrible start.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to get over the hump. Florida won. They went to the bowl. This game also featured a great first half drive chart last year. Touchdown, punt, 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 interception, interception, punt, interception, touchdown, interception, end of half.
Yeah.
7-7 at halftime.
What a world.
Florida did go on to win 24-21 last year.
Yeah, they did. In a very, with an interim situation with Dan Mullen gone, it was, I'm sure, an especially happy moment for Florida fans. Be like, look, the season went to hell, but we didn't lose to Florida State. So those are always fun.
All right. Let's go to Saturday, Dan.
Let's.
This is the big guy right here. This is the big guy. The rest is just window dressing, man. This is the big guy. 12 o'clock, high noon on Fox. It's an Ohio State game, so I'm assuming Gus and Joel Klatt will be there. They always are.
Of course.
Michigan at Ohio State. Ohio State minus 7.5. They call this one the game. Michigan leads the all-time series 59-51-6. They, of course, won the game last season 42-27. It was a big deal. It ran for nearly 300 yards. Clearly, it was the one thing Jim Harbaugh needed to do to seal his place in Michigan lore, and he did it. So,
and then
here we are
leave.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then tried to leave. Here we are a year later.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder how much, if anything, has changed. It feels to me like the Michigan game plan will be all but the same as it was a year ago. They've, of course, got a different quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Not with Hassan Haskins this year, but Blake Corum has been carrying the load. It seems, by the way, like he's going to be okay. There were clips that circulated throughout social media that Blake Corum was out on Sunday walking about town, apparently using his NIL money for the second straight year to give away 300 turkeys.
Damn.
For Thanksgiving,
Awesome.
which, like, how can you root against a guy?
Yeah.
You can't root against him. He's obviously doing good out there in the community. So good for him, and I'm glad to hear that his knee is sound. He said it's fine. Jim Harbaugh said that there is no structural damage. Obviously, all of that is very, very good news.
You know what I wouldn't be doing with a hurt knee, Ty? delivering giant frozen turkeys. So it's probably okay. It's probably beat up. It's probably bruised. It's probably sore. But if it's good enough to do that, I say as an equally elite athlete as Blake Corum, he'll be all right, I think.
Got to work on that ball security, man.
Yes.
Got to hold that turkey tight. I'm 1,000% on Michigan here plus the points.
Man, okay.
I'm
Unravel.
1,000% on Michigan plus the points. And I say that still as the biggest Ohio State apologist this side of Columbus. 7.5 points, knowing the exact style of play that Michigan is going to bring into this matchup seems like a great, I don't know, seems awful. Seems like a great opportunity to go on Michigan here plus the points. Ohio State could still end up winning, but I don't feel like that defense is shut down enough to stop all of what I think Michigan wants to do on the ground. So I see this being slow and a grind, and Michigan being good enough to maybe confuse CJ Stroud in spots, to curtail some of that passing offense in spots, and turn this one into ground and pound and ugly and probably a close loss. But 7.5, way too many for me.
Interestingly, this is a matchup of, if I'm reading this correctly, Ty, the two best defenses in terms of scoring efficiency defenses in the country. Michigan being number 1 and Ohio State being number 2, because my thought going into it was I lean in the direction, I tip in the direction of Michigan because I love their defense. Ohio State has done an almost equally terrific job of keeping teams down on defense. Now, they both come in wobbling a bit from last week. Michigan in their second half performance on offense. Shout out Jake Moody. You know, it's kicker's paradise, that Michigan offense. And Ohio State, of course, in the way that they gave up some exceptional passes and scoring drives from Maryland and Talia. I think Talia Tagovailoa is a more dangerous quarterback in big games this year than J.J. McCarthy. Is that fair to say?
Oh, it's totally fair to say.
If I had to, play out this game 1,000 times, who do I trust to get to 300 yards through the air more or 10 yards per attempt more? It's probably Talia. There's a fearlessness to him and just seasoning to him that I don't think we see from J.J. McCarthy, at least not yet. I think there is something about Michigan's ability to impose its manner and impose its preferred style, that if styles make fights, I think this is probably going to be closer to a Michigan preferred type game than an Ohio State preferred type game. So I'm taking Michigan. I'm taking Michigan because of the imposition. I think Ohio State wins. I think they win late, and they're the ones with the field goal, or they're the ones with that last second comeback down 4 with 93 seconds left or something. But I think this Michigan defense is too good. Once again, that line is what, 7.5? Is that what you said?
7.5 points. Yeah.
7.5? No,
Yeah.
I think it's extremely tight in Columbus, and the defense, I just can't pick against this Michigan defense to lose by nearly double digits or even double digits. So I'm going Michigan here. I don't love the pick with the Blake Corum uncertainty because he has been so good wearing teams down and then busting that like random 51-yard run in the second half, which that's what they need sometimes on offense. So as the Michigan offense has slowed down, as Ohio State's beat up on their own offense, down running backs, JSN for a large chunk of the year, I'm going to go with the uglier potential for this game. So I'm going to take the points in Michigan.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Dan. I really do. I kind of went back and forth on this one, but 7.5 feels like a lot to me. And it doesn't feel like, obviously there are things that have changed.
Right.
It doesn't feel like things have changed that much that Michigan can suddenly has to change its approach to Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can do to Ohio State what they've been doing to teams all year, which is push them around on the ground, try to get as much as they can on the ground with Blake Corum, whoever, and win games by grinding down defense. That's how they did it last year to some extent.
Right.
So I think they will have a degree of success doing it. I don't know if they win outright. I still favor Ohio State outright, but 7.5 to me is too much. That's just too much. I think this is close. I think this is a hell of a game. That's why they call it the game.
I think Michigan did the right thing turning to J.J. McCarthy, because you should turn to a quarterback with what you perceive to be a higher ceiling. But if Michigan loses this game by 10, 13 points,
I know.
There is going to be something about Cade McNamara in his brain saying something, not out loud, but with his eyes on the sideline, saying, interesting. Huh. Interesting. If memory serves, last year when I was the guy. Yeah, that's all.
12 o'clock ABC. It is South Carolina at Clemson. This game is more interesting now, given what happened last week. Clemson is favored by 14.5. They, of course, call it the Palmetto Bowl. Clemson has dominated. They have dominated. They're on a 7-game win streak. They won last year 30-0. They've won the Palmetto Bowl since 2014 by an average of 26 points. So this has not been a close game at all. Clemson should have a big advantage in the trenches here, one would assume. But I also said that before Notre Dame.
Right.
And I also said that, thought that, long before I saw what South Carolina did to Tennessee last week. Mm-hmm. Part of me just wants to go South Carolina. I kind of want to do that because they won last week. I like Shane Beamer. It'd be a fun story. I don't think they're going to win outright, but 14, if they can get up for this one in the same manner that they did the Tennessee game, in-state rival, maybe Clemson's looking ahead to the ACC game. Who knows? I don't know. 14 points. I'll take the plus 14.5. Why not?
I'll tell you why not. Because it's not last week. Because if there's any team that is going to find it difficult to get up for a game, and look, beating Clemson is always going to be priority number one in South Carolina. But I just think the radical swings of South Carolina make them less than dependable. So going from that Florida game to the Tennessee game, I don't think they'll be able to do to the Clemson defense what they did to the Tennessee defense. And so I think there's potential here for 35-11.
Oh, damn.
Clemson.
Don't steal my soul.
It's not romantic. It's not at all fun, but I still don't love this South Carolina team's inconsistency. So I'm going to go Clemson here to cover. I am. Sorry.
Some other quick ones to mention in that early slate of games on Saturday. We got Georgia Tech, Georgia, the clean old-fashioned hate game.
Yeah.
Georgia favored by 35. We've got Oklahoma State favored by 8.5 at home against West Virginia to close out their season.
Yeah.
Maryland favored by 14 at home against Rutgers. And, just because we have to mention it, and because it's notable, James Madison.
Oh, this is a great game.
James Madison. Minus 14 at home against Coastal Carolina. Any of those games jump out to you?
Wait, James Madison is a 14-point favorite against Coastal Carolina?
No Grayson McCall.
I know, but that's still so many points.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. All of those games obviously stand out to me. I am right up against a lock for West Virginia against Oklahoma State. I can't fully get there because of West Virginia's own issues, but I love picking against Oklahoma State in this spot. I really, really do. So I like West Virginia to cover.
Do we think there's a pack it up, pack it in with Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I think so. Well, here's the thing. They go down 28-0, and they actually, on defense, really adjusted and didn't show quit and really played Oklahoma exceedingly well after going down in the way that they did. I just don't like this Oklahoma State offense at all. So I'm going West Virginia to cover.
I'm on West Virginia to cover.
Yeah.
I am on Maryland to cover against Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Talia's status. He got hurt again
right.
at the end of that game last week. I hope he's okay. But I go Maryland, even though Georgia Tech needs the win over Georgia to qualify for a bowl, would be like the upset of the millennium. If they went to Georgia and knocked off the Dogs. So I go Georgia minus whatever.
And potential no bearing on the college football playoff.
No bearing whatsoever. Yeah. And I guess I'll go James Madison. I don't get the line there. I haven't followed either team closely enough to understand why it's so high. I'm assuming it's because of no Grayson McCall. But we'll go Maddies. Why not? get to 8 wins.
Yeah, I'm going to go to JMU as well, but bowl status, I haven't seen anything in terms of getting a waiver to get to a bowl, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Afternoon, some big games in the afternoon here, 4 of them that I wanted to call out to you. Let's start with Iowa State TCU.
Yeah.
There are bigger games in this slot, on this slate, in this slot.
Yeah, you got there.
In a normal year, it would not be beyond Iowa State to go to Fort Worth and win a game like this. They're a 10.5 point dog, on the road at TCU. TCU needs this one to stay undefeated. The problem that I have with Iowa State this year, they're very mistake prone.
Mm-hmm.
Also unable to score, which if you're going to beat TCU, being mistake prone and unable to score is not exactly the ideal formula. So I feel like even though there's a lot of points here and TCU tends to play in close games, I think I still got to go TCU because I just don't trust anything about Iowa State.
No, you trust their defense, do you not?
To an extent, but like 10.5 points is the line.
Right.
Do we trust that Iowa State can score more than 17 points against TCU?
They scored 31 against West Virginia, but otherwise, you go back this season, they scored 11 against the Kansas defense back on October 1st.
Right. So that's what this comes down to. It's all right. If you think that Iowa State's going to cover it, how many points do they need to score? How many points do you think they can hold TCU to? I think TCU can still score 28 to 35 points against Iowa State, which means
I don't know. Okay.
Which means Iowa State's got to score at least 17, and I don't see it. So I go TCU here minus whatever.
It's an actually nice spot for Iowa State. Playing for not much, a chance to spoil TCU, coming off of that disappointment. I think TCU wins this game, but I could definitely see 23-17 TCU in this spot. Like Iowa State, I mean, is this the best defense TCU will face all season long? I mean, whatever you feel about the Texas defense at the moment might be the case, but Iowa State's gotten it done on defense all year long. By the way, you want me to blow your mind here, Ty?
Please.
You know how many points Iowa State over the last 3 years has averaged against TCU?
Continue.
44. Not early 2000s, way back when, wasn't that crazy? The last 3 years with Brock Purdy, Iowa State has scored 44 points a game against TCU. And now we're talking about, can they get to 13? Can they get to 17? It's wild how quickly things can change.
That was a Gary Patterson defense, though. You know, we don't even count that.
I am just presenting facts to you, Your Honor.
That's a wild stat.
I'm submitting to you. Remember, Iowa State, for some reason, scored 44 a game these last 3 years.
Who are you picking here? Are you going Iowa State?
No.
Good. Okay.
I'm not going Iowa State. I have 23-10. That would cover it for TCU.
Yes.
Yeah, 23-10. The Frogs win this one, but it's 16-10. Iowa State has the ball late and are flirting with taking the lead, and TCU has an emphatic finish to the game.
A backdoor cover in play.
In play, for sure.
Play.
I think it's going to be... Where's the game, by the way?
Game is in TCU. It's in Fort Worth.
It's in Fort Worth. Okay, so that makes it a little bit better, but yeah, there's a weird history between these two teams of ruining seasons. So I'm wary of that, but I'm still going Frogs.
3 rivalry matchups here, bigger matchups that we need to call out. The Iron Bowl is at 3:30 on CBS. It's Auburn at Bama. Bama favored by 21.5 points. This is a game last year that threw me into a tizzy because
yeah, that's right.
Brian Harsin should have gone for 2 with TJ Finley on one leg, and he didn't do it, and they lost 24-22. Never forget that moment. Never forget that moment as the downfall, or part of the downfall for Brian Harsin. But Bama won this game last year. We know it has a history of being weirdly close in spots when you wouldn't expect. This, I think, would definitely be the topper, given the fact that Auburn fired its coach. Cadillac Williams is in there now as an interim. the job he's done has been pretty admirable. I think he's gotten them to play hard despite the fact that they haven't had a whole lot to play for. So I commend him on his efforts. The issue here is that the team is just horribly overmatched. They're horribly overmatched in this contest here against Alabama. Granted, the rivalry, you throw the records out, doesn't always mean everything, but it just seems to me like if you're betting on Auburn, you're really on a hope and a prayer because there's not a whole lot on paper that would suggest this one's going to be anywhere close.
Auburn wasn't good last year. It was a TJ Finley team. Alabama has not covered some big lines this year. Like Vegas pretty consistently is overshooting with their lines for Alabama. If there's something a team can do against Alabama, it's run the ball. Auburn will dress Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter in blue and orange and should be able to run the ball some. Maybe I'm just a sucker for Cadillac Williams and the energy and happiness and excitement of, him returning first, obviously as running backs coach, now the interim head coach.
I do like Cadillac Williams.
I'm taking the points. I know it's on the road, but there is something about this year's version of Alabama that Vegas is overshooting. I think they lose by a couple touchdowns, 28-14, 31-17, 31-13. I don't think they cover this line. I'm taking the points.
Can I get in with you? Can I change my mind?
Yeah, you like Cadillac. I get it.
You know what? I got a soft spot. We're all getting older. We remember when Cadillac was out there playing.
Right. There's something off. There's just something off about Bama.
I want to get in on this.
All right,
I feel bad for Auburn. Let's go. Come on, let's ride. Platypus Cup, as we call it. Your Oregon Ducks -3.5 on the road at Oregon State. Oregon won by 9 last year. There's a lot of action in the fourth quarter. If you remember that game, 34 combined points. Oregon leads the all-time series by about, 19 games, 67, 48, and 10.
Mm-hmm.
So Oregon State can get to 9 wins. If they win this one, they can also ruin Oregon's season in a sense.
Totally.
I don't think they're a better team than Oregon, but this matchup scares the hell out of me here.
Okay.
Scares the living daylights out of me. So I am inclined to go points at home in Corvallis. A lot to play for really on both sides of this thing, with Oregon State just looking to play spoiler, just looking to be that stinker that gets in Oregon's path. First off, what is the status of Bo Nix? And secondly, how do you feel about this matchup? I know you've been talking about it, alluding to this matchup now for a couple weeks running. How do you feel about this as an Oregon fan?
I feel better about it after last week than I would have 2 weeks ago. If Oregon's weakness is getting shredded a bit through the air, Oregon State is not necessarily the team to worry about.
Right.
Oregon State can legitimately run the ball. They've developed good offensive lines these past couple of years. I think it's Martinez in the backfield, but they're on a backup quarterback in a big spot, and that worries me that Oregon State, even though their defense has probably did the best job against USC this year, with that experienced secondary, I think Oregon is built with the way that they've run the ball, and we'll see on Bo Nix's health if he's any more of a threat to even roll out and buy himself time, because you saw against Utah sometimes when that first or second read wasn't there, he just threw it right at the feet of his running back. He was like, I'm not going to take a hit. I'm not going to risk this. I'm not going to try and buy time. I assume he is going to improve health-wise. I assume him playing against Utah did not set his health back, whether it's a bone bruise or an ankle or whatever it is, because I think it's still kind of unclear what exactly the injury is. I think he will improve. And for that reason, I think Oregon will be fine in this matchup because of what Oregon State doesn't really do all that well on offense.
Yeah.
So Oregon plays the run really, really well. We saw it against Utah. We've seen it all season long for the most part. They've played the run well. They just get shredded deep by good receivers. I don't think Oregon State has it. I know they're down a couple of key pieces on offense, so I'm taking Oregon here to win by 10.
I'm going to go points.
Okay.
You have sound, rational, reasoned points.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those. I just want to see a close game.
Same.
So, give me Oregon State. Finally here, and then we got a bunch of other afternoon games that we're going to call out,
please,
before we get to the nightcap. But the land-grant game, it is Penn State -18 against Michigan State. Michigan State won it last year. Again, you know where I stand on this one. I've mentioned this many times over the years. they really try to make this one a rivalry. It's not a rivalry in my view.
Okay.
I experienced it as a student. My two memories from this game, the only two I have, first off, 4 years of them kind of really pumping up the blood drive that's associated with this game, a real blood feud of sorts between Michigan State and Penn State. They've got, some charity events that kind of coincide with the Michigan State-Penn State game. Secondly, my junior year, I was really hungover because this was after my birthday.
Yeah.
And that was Larry Johnson, I think, ran for 200 yards. It was a big deal, showing my age a little bit. But this feels like a lot of points to me, Dan. My gut was Michigan State here. However, my gut was wrong more often than not this season, and Michigan State's actually been pretty bad. So yeah. I'm going to go Penn State. I'm going to go Penn State and not think twice about it. Again, the quote-unquote rivalry, I don't throw the records out for this one because I don't know if anybody really buys that this is a real rivalry.
Michigan State 3-6-2 against the spread. Penn State 8-3. Where's this game being played once again?
State College.
Better defense at home. I'm going to give those points. I think they, especially with the way that Michigan State game ended last week, I just think it's tough here. So I'm going to go Penn State to win this game by, 3 touchdowns.
Can I list off a bunch of games and we just rapid fire?
Sure.
Like 5 seconds each. Which team are you going with?
All right.
Ready? 3:30 SEC Network, Louisville. On the road at Kentucky to play for the Governor's Cup. Kentucky favored by 3.5. Kentucky won handily last year. 4 touchdowns in that one.
Yeah.
4 rushing touchdowns, I should say, for future first rounder Will Levis. Dan, who you got?
Defense at home. Give me Kentucky.
I'm going Louisville. I'm taking them outright. Because
quarterback status, injury, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
I think Kentucky might be packing up halfway.
No way, man. They played hard. Continue.
I think they're done. Let's move on. 3:30. Play for Paul Bunyan's Axe. It's the Axe game between Wisconsin and Minnesota. Minnesota is a 3-point road dog in Madison, Dan. I've given up trying to figure out either of these teams.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just go Wisconsin at home.
I'm going Minnesota. Braylon Allen beat up. I'm going with the best thing in this game, and that's the Minnesota defense. I'm going with the Gophers to finish this out. I mean, Wisconsin needed to come back to beat Nebraska last week. And what do we know about teams who recently or even just play Nebraska at all? They suffer the consequences and come down with Nebraska-litis. So I'm going Minnesota.
It's like a 4-week quarantine after Nebraska.
It's true.
3:30, Big Ten Network, Purdue, -10 on the road at Indiana. They play for the Old Oaken Bucket, one of my favorite trophies. Purdue won by 37 last season, Dan.
Yeah.
I guess Purdue. 10's a lot, but I don't really have much faith in Indiana, even after last week.
Going Purdue. I am going Purdue because they play the run well, and that's all you need against Indiana. So I think they cover this one.
4 o'clock, Pac-12 Network, Rumble in the Rockies. I didn't even know that they had a name for this game until
It's pretty good. I like that name.
Looked at it this year. Utah -29.5 on the road at Colorado. The Utes won last year by 15. Colorado is 2-9 this season, Dan. They've been outscored in the Rumble in the Rockies 335 to 213 since 2010. So, excuse me. Colorado is 2-9 since 2010, and they've been outscored 335 to 213 in this series. So it has not been a good stretch for the Buffs, Dan. Any reason to go Colorado plus the points here?
No, there is not. So I'm going Utah here. Colorado has not just been bad, but they've been bad in the eyes of Vegas, or against what Vegas is projecting. 2-9 against the spread. So happy to take the Utes here.
The Land of Lincoln Trophy. Are you going?
It's not far from here, right? You're talking Northwestern Illinois. I'm definitely not going.
No. Illinois favored by 12.5 points going to Northwestern, closing out their season at Ryan Field. They won big time last year, 47-14. I guess Illinois. I don't really have much faith in Northwestern, especially against a very good defense.
Illinois easily. Yeah. I mean, is this game being played in America or is this game being played in the UK?
No, America.
Yeah. Illinois minus the points.
Wake Forest minus 3.5 at Duke.
I like Duke here. I actually really do like Duke, who has done a good job defensively of preventing those bigger plays under Mike Elko. So I know that there is a nickel dime element to what Wake does really well, but I'm going to take Duke to finish out their season strong. Why not?
I'm with you, man. Let's go Duke. All right, let's go to the later games, the nightcaps. Couple big ones here to talk about. Let's start 7:30 ABC. Notre Dame on the road at USC. USC favored by 5 in the battle for the jeweled Shillelagh.
Shillelagh. Not Donna Shillelagh, the jeweled Shillelagh.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. Notre Dame won by 15 last year. This is the game that they won, but Drake London had like 15 catches. They couldn't stop Drake. There's always that guy, you know?
Oh, he's so ridiculous. I remember.
There's always that guy that nobody can stop. And it was Drake London in this game last year. We're nothing if not a show about self-awareness. Am I correct?
We try to be, yeah.
I am 0 for my last 15 on the picks that I make on our Thursday Spotify show. I'm not kidding. I'm 0 for 15, a legit 0 for 15. I'm trying.
That's so difficult.
It's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
0 for my last 15. I'm so bad, and I told you this. I've been so bad that I have quite literally stopped actually betting. You know, we have to do the picks because of what we do here, but in terms of my actual money, I've stopped wagering it because I felt the tide turn around week 9 or so. Things started to get away from me.
Yeah.
And I kind of eased back a little bit.
Eating into your omelet budget. I hear you.
I'm not getting crazy with things here. I just am self-aware. Things have come off the swivel. I haven't picked a game right in what feels like forever. And I'm starting to believe that the reverse jinx might be real again. Like it's come back from the dead. I gave it up when I quit the mysterious day job. And I'm starting to think that maybe it's like just part of me. Maybe it's part of who I am. I say all that because I just want to go ahead and lock up USC.
Lock of the week.
Surely, Dan, a pyrotechnic offense of this proportion with so many future NFL stars, led by a real leader of men, Lincoln Riley, surely they would not fall short in a game of this magnitude with so much at stake, with the playoff within their grasp, within when the conference is within their grasp.
Yeah.
Surely the 123rd best rush defense in America will toughen up when it plays against a Notre Dame team that might run the ball 60 times. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Surely they will not fall short in that endeavor. I have no concerns whatsoever about USC in this game. That is why I am wholeheartedly, confidently locking up the Trojans, Dan.
Because you are so good at being wrong, you are leaning in this
You
direction.
said that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that.
You're
I would
such
never
a
say
sure
that.
thing with your picks.
I would never say that.
All right, so you're fully disingenuous with your analysis of this game. So that means I have to be overly genuine to balance out the universe?
I have no concerns about USC. I have no concerns about their 123rd best rush defense. I just don't. I mean, I just think they're rock solid. There's no chance they would fall short in this game.
What is the number? I'll bring it back to reality. What is the number that, okay, Notre Dame has a very good defense. USC has a very good offense. If USC performs better, but not dramatically so, than what teams have done against this Notre Dame defense, and they score, 28 or 31 points, 27 points, 23. We saw Oregon State hold them down. So even if they scored 24 points, do you have faith in this Drew Pine-led team hanging with USC's offense?
If they score 24 points, yeah.
24 points, you think Notre Dame can get to 27, essentially?
If Notre Dame holds USC to 24 points, they win outright.
Okay. 31, 34, 37. What is the number
let's not push it, okay? Come on. If they hold them under 30, I think there's a pretty good chance they win the game outright. Yeah.
I'm going to go with the better defense here. I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I think it travels well enough. I think USC coming off of that back and forth spot, once again, how difficult it is to force 4 turnovers and still give up 45 points on defense. the USC defense is that bad. Like, Drew Pine might look decent against this USC defense. Like, he might play so well that Notre Dame fans might say to themselves, well, why don't we see what we got? Drew Pine moving forward.
Let's not get crazy.
I'm going Notre Dame here. I am.
Plus the points are outright.
Outright. Oh, outright.
Really?
Absolutely outright. Yeah. It's the combination of running the ball and defense and the deflation of USC after the UCLA game. I just think they're going to have to win in such a different way. Notre Dame is that team because of the way they can rush the passer, because of the way Caleb Williams holds on to the ball. Not too long, but his preferred playmaking style is, wait, hold on, let's let something really big unfold. And that, to me, is dangerous against a team like Notre Dame. So I'm going Notre Dame here to win this game outright. It's the first good defense USC has played all season long, unless you count Oregon State. And that is a game they scored how many points in, Ty? If you have USC schedule in front of you, I think it was 17.
17, yeah.
Yeah. So that to me is sort of an issue at hand. So I'm going Notre Dame here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the kind of game where Notre Dame tries to run it 60 times. I'm genuine about that.
Yeah.
I think they will try to run it 60 times. If we do the recap show next Sunday and Drew Pine's final stat line is 5 of 9 for 119 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, that would feel about right to me.
Sure.
With three or four of those passes going to Michael Mayer and him getting the only touchdown. Like, that is just the style of this offense at this point. And I do think they can run the ball. I mean, we saw what they did against a much better team in Clemson. Weirdly, they weren't able to run against Navy, but I do think they'll be up for this game. This is obviously a rivalry game. They've got a lot to play for as well. They have an opportunity to play spoiler on a rival.
Great.
So I think they'll be ready. I think they'll be amped, and I like the matchup for them.
Hey, look, if nothing else, it's two teams who genuinely struggled with Stanford at times.
That is true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. All right. LSU minus 9.5 at A&M. Does this line creep you out at all?
No. I think there's enough on the roster for A&M on defense that you could say, I could see this being not a super competitive game back and forth for 4 quarters, but not a runaway for LSU. I'm going LSU minus the points still.
I'm going A&M.
Just because of the creep factor?
Yeah, it's just a weird matchup, you know? And if you talk to LSU fans, they'll be like, don't count that A&M game. Don't take that game for granted.
Right.
There's like weird things can happen in that game. And
sure.
I subscribe to that to some extent. It's just a hard sell for me, given the fact that they legit struggled for a half with UMass A&M last week. All right? Like, it's all fun and games until you're tied 3-3 with UMass.
Yeah.
They're just not good. They're not good at all. And so it's ultimately a stretch to me to think that they could beat LSU at all, given the state of affairs right now. A&M could be packing. I won't play the sound again. They could be there right now with this team, with this coach. You know, who knows what happens after this game with the Jimbo thing. I mean, if we're talking about Jimbo Fisher being fired a week from now, is that far-fetched?
It is, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. Far-fetched, but not impossible, given the money, if only because of the money.
Yeah. It's the same reason it's where there's a will, there's a way, right? If Texas A&M wants to fire Jimbo Fisher, they will. Why did they do it? Because they want to. And they will find the money in the couch cushions, and it will be a kind of horrendous look to spend $85 million or whatever to find a new coach. But if they want to, they will.
All right. 8 p.m. on Fox, the Sunflower Showdown. The Battle of all things Kansas. We've got Kansas State minus 12 at home against Kansas. Dan, last year, K-State won by 25. They've won the last 13 meetings, but this is a different Kansas team. Who you got?
Kansas State. I think there's too much when Kansas State is operating on offense. I think it's just a mismatch. And as good a story as Kansas has been this year, they did their damage the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, did they not?
They did.
That's what thin rosters promising thin rosters for the future tend to do. That they've taken a dip since the first half of the year. They're bowl eligible, are they not?
They're bowl eligible, yes.
That's the win. It doesn't matter. It's all gravy. They're going to get destroyed by Kansas State.
I'm going K-State as well, and Will the Thrill Howard.
Yeah.
10:30, Apple Cup. Washington -2 on the road against Wazoo. Last year, Wazoo won 40-13. That was obviously a Washington program in a lot more disarray than it seemingly is now after almost a full season under Kalen DeBoer. -2 is it's a short line.
It is. Do you have a lean?
My lean is Washington.
Why?
My lean is Washington to close out the season. This would, if memory serves, this would get them to 10-2, right?
The Washington Huskies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling 10-2 for the Huskies here, -2 on the road. Tough spot, though. Tough spot, late at night. Obviously, these teams are both going to be jazzed up for this one, but I'll go Huskies to get to 10-2.
Jake Dickert, undefeated against Washington.
Correct.
In the head coaching role. Last year was an interim. The lean generally for me would be, hey, look, a good defense. Washington State's a okay defense, but that still qualifies them for best in the conference. An okay defense at home as a dog in a rivalry spot, Washington State. They could, win this one ugly. I don't think they have the secondary to hang with this Washington offense.
Yeah,
I go back and forth. The front has been very good, though. And you know what? I'm going Wazoo here. This is my romance. This is my rivalry week pick that, as a dog on the Palouse, give me the Cougs. How about that?
All right. Couple other games here that I want to go through. Get a quick take on. Just a 5-second job, all right?
All right.
Tennessee, Vandy. Tennessee -15 on the road at Vandy. Obviously, Tennessee lost last week.
Right.
Obviously, Hendon Hooker is done for the season, which is a huge bummer.
Yeah, torn ACL. Whoa,
We got that news
Yeah.
on Sunday evening. A huge bummer for Hendon Hooker. I hope he's able to come back strong and healthy and have a prosperous career in the NFL. But they will be with Joe Milton this week on the road at Vandy. Vandy needs this one to get to a bowl. So they're clearly playing for something.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a bit of a stretch to me that they would have enough firepower. Even a Joe Milton-led Tennessee is good enough to beat Vanderbilt. But the game is in Vandy.
Nashville, yeah.
We know that there are stakes here. So is there an opportunity for Vandy to shock the world?
Probably not. But is there an opportunity for Vandy to make it weird against Joe Milton? And this is a game in the second half, and Tennessee realizes, let's just run straight at them, and we should be okay in the long run and open up something in the play action in the long run. And it's a scare? Maybe.
Yeah.
It's a nice spot for Vandy after the deflation that Tennessee and that fan base must be feeling after last week. Situationally, it's a nice place for Vandy. They only kind of win that game because of a muff punt touchdown, though, against Florida. Still, Vandy's right there. Man, I'm going back and forth on this one. I'm going to go with the talent and the speed to win out. A more cohesive offense still with Joe Milton. Give me Tennessee to cover.
I'm on Tennessee. How about Oklahoma -1.5 on the road at Texas Tech? Is Oklahoma checked out? They won last week.
They're not checked out, but sort of somewhat of a freak occurrence in that first quarter, and they didn't do anything thereafter. I'm going to go Texas Tech here.
I'm on Tech.
Yeah,
I'm on Tech. I'm on Tech for that exact reason.
Yep.
We got Pitt -6.5 at Miami. Speaking of being checked out. Pack it up, pack it in Miami. I'm going Pitt. Give me Pitt.
I love Pitt here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Pitt minus whatever. Actually, let's lock that up. Why not?
Lock of the week.
Maybe I just jinxed them, but I don't know why Miami cares at this point.
Elite loser, Miami.
Elite loser. Syracuse -10 at Boston College. We're going Cuse, right?
Yeah, I'm going with the Cuse.
We've got the War on I-4, my favorite rivalry name.
It's a good one.
UCF -18 on the road at South Florida. Weird game last year, by the way, for what it's worth. UCF won 17-13, but the Bulls, South Florida, had the ball on the goal line, less than 30 seconds to go, threw an incompletion, took a sack to end the game with no timeouts. So Minus 18. That's a big line.
I'm going UCF here, big.
Yeah. South Florida's kind of bad.
I'm going to run all over them. Yep.
The only other game here that I need to mention, I don't know if they're playing this game, but I did see a line. It is Virginia on the road at Virginia Tech minus 1.5 points. They call it the Commonwealth Cup. I don't know what the status is here of this game.
Right.
They have not yet announced a game time. I don't know if they're going to play it. Maybe they have. Maybe by the time you listen to this will sound like I am misinformed. So I apologize, but obviously there's a lot going on at Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Things that are far more significant than football. So to that end, I will pick Virginia happily. I hope they're able to get out there. I hope they're able to play. I hope they're able to win here. Yeah, in honor of their fallen teammates. But, this is one of those games where I think we're all pulling for Virginia. No disrespect to the Hokies.
Yeah. I guess if they play this game, hope for Virginia to get some tiny morsel of solace from, being on the field together.
Dan, can you indulge me for a second and do the thing one more time?
The thing?
The thing. You know the thing.
Is it a request to drop that big, stanky? I love the word turgid whenever I use it.
Yeah.
Drum and fife?
We have a situation here in the Pat League as it relates to the FCS playoffs. So here is the deal.
Oh.
They released the bracket. There are two teams. The first time, I think, since we've been doing this, that there are two teams from the Pat League.
Hell yeah.
In the FCS playoffs. And I don't know if there's like a FIFA fixing type of situation going on. Maybe somebody at the Pat League slipping a few dollar bills underneath the table to guarantee that the Pat League makes it into the quarterfinals. But that is what we've got before us.
Really?
So, yeah. This week, 2 p.m., it is New Hampshire at Fordham. The winner of that game plays Holy Cross.
So no matter what, the Pat League is guaranteed to make it through into the quarterfinal. Probably will lose in the quarterfinal, but nonetheless, we've got New Hampshire at Fordham, at least for this week. We will have one more Pat League game next week for us to discuss. Who you got? So next week is the quarters.
Next week is, no.
Well, so what if New Hampshire beats both teams?
If New Hampshire beats both teams, then New Hampshire's, I guess, in the quarters. But
so it doesn't guarantee a Pat League.
It guarantees a shot at the quarters.
Okay, a shot at the quarters.
Shot at the quarters. Yeah.
The eight.
I guess I'm just assuming a Fordham win here.
I know you are. What's New Hampshire's record?
I don't know. I have no idea.
The fighting granites.
Yeah. This thing, the bracket did not give me the record, so I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I have Fordham winning huge. What do you? Is this even a question?
Fordham's pyrotechnic offense. Our guy Fotis, the OG Greek freak.
That's true.
Going Fordham Rams here, big.
New Hampshire's nickname is the Wildcats. That's so boring. Go Rams.
Do they even have Wildcats in New Hampshire?
Probably. That's actually the specific place I would assume they do have Wildcats.
They used to have them.
New Hampshire is 8-3. Atop the CAA, lost to North Carolina Central, Western Michigan, and the Spiders of Richmond, coming off of a tight win on the road at the Black Bears of Maine, 42-41. They take on Fordham November 26th, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern.
It's a shame that we've got our show in Atlanta. Otherwise, we could go up to that Holy Cross game.
That's true. Holy Cross and the winner of Fordham, New Hampshire.
If you are out and about this weekend, if you need to pay attention on the go.
And you've already listened to both Extra Nuggets episodes.
Both Extra Nuggets episodes. You know, a lot of folks are in the car. They're doing a lot of travel this weekend. College Football Blitz. It is the NFL red zone for college football. You hear the scoring as it happens by hometown radio announcers, courtesy of our friends over at Learfield. 56 minutes of hometown play-by-play per hour. Woo! Just 3 minutes of commercial breaks per hour. 12 hours of coverage every Saturday from high noon Eastern to midnight. Available for free. Varsity Network app, the ESPNU radio channel on Sirius XM 84. Hosted by whom?
Speedrun Stevie.
Stephen Hartzell.
Best in the biz.
SolidVerbalLive.com if you want to go to the aforementioned live show that we're doing in Atlanta, December the 2nd. Tickets are moving. There are still some available. You and I are deep in the weeds, in the throes of planning that show where we are inducting college football things
from this season.
From this season into a make-believe Hall of Fame, which we do need to say for legal reasons is not actually affiliated by the real Hall of Fame, which is also in Atlanta.
Yes. I have already prepared my remarks regarding the guy who ran onto the field during the USC UCLA game as I induct the security guard for his form tackle, just knocking him on his ass. Those are the kinds of things we are going to discuss.
Targeting. It was not targeting.
No, it was not
either.
targeting. That was clean. He
was a clean
hit
hit.
the meaty middle, knocked him off his feet. Respect to the guy, though. Popped right back up. Wasn't affected by it.
Wasn't affected. That's why it was a clean hit.
Clean hit.
He did not
Respect.
target above the shoulders.
Right.
Or lead with the crown of the helmet. He didn't even have a helmet on.
Maybe I'll also induct did you see, these are, it's going to be football stuff, non-football stuff around college football, but I think the Arkansas groundskeeping unit decided, we got to do something about this ice on the field ahead of the LSU game. They're like, why don't we spray it with hot water? I was like, oh, you are not. Bless your hearts that you're so unused to how to deal with icy conditions, but adding water to icy conditions, you're just going to get sludgy ice. You're not going to dry anything, and you're not going to melt anything. So
it was an ambitious attempt.
It was. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. An ambitious attempt. Sometimes you use whatever you got. So yeah. SolidVerbalLive.com. It's going to be fun. We're going to have fun.
It's going to be a great time.
Come on out. Come see us. Come say hello. Again, the night before the SEC title game, if you're going to be coming in from out of town, or if you're just going to be passing through, or if you can pass through, if you'll be in the area, we would encourage you to come on out. It'll be a lot of fun. As Dan has mentioned a couple times, as I have mentioned, we are very excited about Extra Nuggets. Mm-hmm. extranuggets.show. More importantly, solidgiveaway.com. If you're going out there, register to win that PS5. We are excited about giving away the PS5 in time for the holiday season.
Yes.
We will announce the winner of said prize bundle on the November 29th episode of Extra Nuggets. So you got till the end of this week to sign up to win. Next week, we will tell you who actually does, but on an episode of the show.
That's pretty good.
I'm excited.
I am too.
For that guy over there, my good friend Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand, wherever this holiday week takes you, wherever Rivalry week takes you, we wish you all safety and health and a happy Thanksgiving. Eat well, drink well, watch sports well.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Sure, it is now. Stay solid.
Peace.